Hello everyone, welcome to the RTL Beach. We are Wednesday, we are after the party. It's a tough day for everyone who enjoyed our party yesterday, but we really have an all-star setup for the next panel called Game Changer, Decoding the Value and Challenges of Sports Advertising. And I'm going to start with very valued guest, the CMO of Qualcomm, coming from California, just for you, audience of the RTL Beach. So join the stage. We are very happy to welcome you all on this great panel.
Hello.
And yes, of course, big round of applause for Don McGuire.
All the way from California just for you.
I hope you're feeling lucky, guys. So, well, let's get started. You
Sure.
ready for us?
Yes, let's do it.
Perfect. So, Don, the company is called Qualcomm, but of course, the big brand is called Snapdragon. So, can you tell us about Snapdragon and especially what are the big marketing challenges of Snapdragon as a brand?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you haven't heard of what Snapdragon is, it's basically a chip, not a potato chip, but a chip that actually goes into devices that you use every day in your life, whether it's your smartphone, now your PC, with the launch of our PCs yesterday globally, your car, your watch, your earphones, your glasses, your goggles. It's actually an amazing piece of technology that makes all the things that you do with your devices actually happen. Whether it's taking photographs, listening to music, gaming, right, et cetera, et cetera. It's really this little chip that's making that all work. People tend to look at the outside of things and think that the display or the materials on the outside or the brand on the outside is the most important, but what's really most important is what's on the inside. So Snapdragon is this amazing little chip that fits on the pinky of your hand, but it does so many great things, and it does it all with great compute power, but also with the consideration for battery life and power efficiency, so that your devices last all day or multiple days. So that's Snapdragon in a nutshell.
Okay, and when we talk about marketing, what are the challenges? What is the target audience when you talk about Snapdragon? How to talk about it on the market? How do you do marketing for such a brand?
Well, the unique challenge that I have as the CMO of a brand like Snapdragon is that you can't walk into a store and buy a Snapdragon. So how do I get that message? How do I tell that story? How do I get people to care about Snapdragon when they can't physically touch it? And so that's the challenge number one. But there are several examples of, and I don't like to use the word ingredient brand because I think that undersells the value. But there are examples such as Intel, where they built up this amazing affinity for the Intel brand, even though you couldn't walk in and buy an Intel chip. And so there are examples where you can tell a story from the inside out. You can get people to care. You can influence purchase decisions by telling that story. So taking from that sort of playbook, but then fast forwarding to the future and looking at Snapdragon, because it crosses so many different product categories, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity because there's so many ways we can tell the story. So it's a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's a great brand, by the way. Just the name Snapdragon is great. The iconography that we built around it is great. And the brand ethos and identity that we've built around it is also really fun, very energetic, and very sort of consumer first. And we started with this tech influencer audience because they're the people that actually care. They're the ones that take apart their devices, whether physically or sort of mentally, and deconstruct them to kind of understand better what's making this work. So we started there. They're also experts. They're also people that influence other people. So we started with this sort of core group of tech influencer audience, and then we've expanded to a broader consumer audience. And then some of the things that we've done with the brand are really about broadening the audience, right? And getting a broader set of consumers to understand who we are and what we do, which involves things like sports.
Okay, yeah, which brings us to our main topic. So, yeah, indeed, why is sports such a good match? Because we are talking about the tech brand, something for techies, geek guys, and you jump right into sports. So, what are you looking for? A broader audience, but what kind of broader audience? Where's the good match?
So, in order to build Snapdragon into kind of culture iconic brand status, we have to actually build not only awareness with a broader set of consumers, but we also have to build affinity for the brand and advocacy for it, and that's a challenge. But so we started with what do we have to do to achieve that goal, and we started with partnerships. Who can we align with? Who can we attach ourselves to that will help us on that journey? And so we looked at things and places where our technology helps to ignite people's passions by delivering the experiences that they want. And then we took those passion points and we organized our brand partnerships around those. So whether it's sports, photography, gaming, music, these are experiences that people feel passionate about. And everyone's got a team, a league, a sport that they really care about. So then within sports, we started looking at who are the right partners. And our marquee partner in sports marketing, we have several, but our marquee partner obviously has to be Manchester United.
I see some British people here. Not all of them fan of Manchester United. I have an Everton fan here.
That's okay. Not everybody can be cool.
But yeah, why particularly then for the people that are not fans of Man U? Why them?
Well, so look, there's global football, right, which is the biggest sport in the world. There's the best of global football, which is the English Premier League. And then there's the best of the English Premier League, which is Manchester United. So, why not go big? 1.1 billion fans. People are shaking their heads. You're a Liverpool fan, aren't you? Anyway, look, the numbers don't lie. I mean, look, we talk to everybody. We talk to Real Madrid. We talk to Chelsea. We talk to Liverpool. We talk to everybody. There's no denying the reach of Manchester United globally. 1.1 billion fans around the world, right? The most storied history of a club. Passion, integrity, right? That's another thing that we look at is brand alignment, brand value alignment. Manchester United, I think, amongst EPL and amongst global football, has a reputation as one of the most, highest integrity football clubs. They don't disobey football law like others might do, or work around it. When we like that aligns with our brand values, right? So there's lots of reasons why we chose them. The ROI on partnering with Manchester United is just it's them and then kind of everybody else. Just from a marketing perspective, they may not have had a good season this season, although they won the FA Cup, so that's a nice way to end. But that's a point in time. That's a short-term blip on the radar. I believe Sir Jim's going to solve that problem really fast. So that's I'm not concerned about that. Winning is a long-term thing, right? And if you look over the long term, obviously the number of cups, the number of places Manchester United has made their mark, and the players that have come out of that system and that club, from Beckham to others to someone that we're going to talk about in a second, who we just partnered with. That's really what it's all about. And so originally we partnered with them because of the numbers. And the numbers don't lie. The data was there to help us reach our goals. And then we had such a tremendous experience with them, and then the data that we were getting back from our initial partnership was so strong that we decided to take it to the next level. And so starting July 1st, we're going to be the 7th front of kit partner for Manchester United in the history of the club. A really exciting and sort of amazing place to put the Snapdragon brand is on the front of that iconic jersey. Do you know that there is a Manchester United jersey sold in the world once every 15 seconds? That's the reach of this football club.
Okay, so
and those are the legal ones, not even the illegal ones. So
you cannot buy a Snapdragon chip, but you can buy a Manchester United jersey.
Buy a Snapdragon shirt.
Or in it. So I can't wait to see the film. Am I allowed to show it now?
Well, let's talk about Eric.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And
then we'll show the film.
You mentioned it. Manchester United for me. I'm a European. It's all about these great heroes, players, such strong characters. So you mentioned Beckham, of course, total legend. Of course, Wayne Rooney, Van Nistelrooy. But there's one that is outstanding.
They call the king.
Yeah,
right?
that we call the king. And well, I'm so jealous. I was born in the same city, by the way, in Marseille. And I wish I could be in your shoes just to meet Eric.
I'm telling you, what an incredible experience. So when we were looking at activating and launching the front of kit and the 3 jerseys they're about to launch this summer, we wanted to put something iconic together to actually announce this partnership. And we brainstormed with the Man United team, and we couldn't think of a better person to represent and to kind of launch us into this next level of our relationship than Eric Cantona. He is the king. He is such a lovely person. I know he kicked somebody in the stands, but whatever. They're bad-mouthing his mom, I think, or something like that. So you don't mess with mom. But he's just such full of life, and he's such a creator, and he's had this amazing life beyond football. Even though he's like one of the greatest footballers, right? He's an actor, and he's a singer, and he's a painter, and he's a poet. And so he's got this creator mentality and this life force that's just so infectious to be around, that when they brought this idea to us, we couldn't think of a better ambassador, for this moment in time, this launch. And so we worked with our agency partners in Manchester United, and we created a launch film that launches July 1st out into the world. And we have a little teaser that we're going to show you. And by the way, this film was 100% shot on Snapdragon. So it was shot on a smartphone, not on a big camera like this or that. It was shot on Snapdragon. So do you want to play?
Of course. I've been waiting for it since the beginning of the talk.
Okay, perfect.
So maybe we can go on.
How do you measure passion? Because this beautiful game is more than just numbers. It's about a billion voices singing as one.
You weren't bad neither for a number 7.
Not bad. It's about emotion and heart and creating memories we never forget. Some think it's a number on the back of a player's jersey that matters. But if you ask me, it's what's on the front.
Just the drama that he brought to that film. By the way, it was his first time back in Manchester in quite some time, and that entire film was shot around Manchester and the community, and that's just another aspect of this relationship. The city of Manchester and their history. It's just another aspect. But I thought he did an amazing job. The full length film launches on the 1st. Please watch it because it's quite dramatic, but it's quite cool, and that's just a little taste.
Do you think this partnership between Manchester United and Snapdragon will change as well the role and the perception of technology within sports?
I mean, it could. Part of the approach that we take with all of our partners is a two-way relationship. So we don't just throw our logo on something. I mean, I don't have like the ability to do that or the money to do that without sort of having an ROI and a business case. So we look at our partnerships in two ways. What can our partner do for us, right? So what are our goals? We need to build awareness and exposure and affinity for Snapdragon. Great. We pay them to deliver on that. But also, what can we do for them, right? We have so much technology. How can we help Manchester United become a better club, a better franchise, a better organization? How can we help them digitally transform the way they deliver on the pitch to their fans at Old Trafford, around the world? And so we're working very closely with them to integrate technology into the fan experience, both on the pitch, in the clubhouse, right, at Old Trafford, and digitally, right, through things like their app and Manu TV and things like that. So it's a two-way partnership. We approach all of our partnerships that way. That's why we don't use the word sponsorship. At Qualcomm, we use the word brand partnership because it is truly two-way. And we want to help them as much as we want them to help us. So you'll be seeing some cool stuff going on. There'll be an app launching. There'll be an augmented reality experience launched with the front of shirt. We've gamified it. It's super cool. Stay tuned for that. We have a lot of things planned with Manchester United.
So cool, so cool. And my last question before we are joined by your friends. Well, community is important part of your marketing. Like, how do you leverage the excitement within the fan community? Because it's really about also tapping into their community and make them exciting. Is it only about the jersey and the film, or is there some like huge plans in media and stuff to like excite everyone about this?
Yeah, it's a full 360 sort of marketing plan around the launch of Front of Shirt that includes the summer tour in the U.S. It includes leveraging and tapping into the 1.1 billion fans around the world. It includes our Snapdragon Insiders, which we have 15 million worldwide. That's our fan community. We're cross-pollinating them with the Manchester United fan community to help grow people and communicate and educate them on Snapdragon. And we're bringing the players in. We're going to do some things. We're going to leverage our Formula One partnership and our Manchester United Front of Shirt launch, and we're going to be doing a really cool thing. Stay tuned for Silverstone. We're going to be doing something really cool at Silverstone as part of our launch plan. So we're leveraging this entire ecosystem of assets that we have to bring this to life and get the most out of it.
Thank you, Don. I think our two next panelists can't wait to join us on stage. So a big round of applause for the first round with Don. And
Thanks.
Please, also a big round of applause to welcome with me Lisa Rosenberg and Matt Van Houten on the stage.
You good?
I think so.
Yep. I can.
Does it work? Can we test the mics?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Stick it to your chin. No?
That's on.
That's
Yeah, that's on.
Okay.
Okay, so, well, Matt, Lisa, a first question, very, very quick one to let you introduce yourself to the audience. What is your favorite sport? And then you can tell everybody everything about you that you want to tell. Lisa, you first. What is your favorite sport?
Okay, my favorite sport is basketball, and there's a reason why. When I was a little girl, my grandfather was a huge basketball fan, took me to see Dr. J, Julius Erving, 76ers, and my mom was also a basketball fan because her dad was a basketball fan. She took me to see my first Knicks game, and therein began my love with the game, and I just had the joy of taking one of my sons for his 21st birthday to Game 7, Knicks vs. Pacers, and it was awesome. So.
Wow, I hope the Knicks do better and the Knicks do better.
Yes,
and better
I hope
in
they
the
do
playoffs.
better next year, but it's been a drought, so.
Yeah, the Celtics are too much. Matt, well, no, but maybe more about you, Lisa, you and your role.
So I'm Lisa Rosenberg. I'm a global partner at Allison, a marketing communications consultancy. I run our consumer brands business around the world. And I'm really excited to be here to talk about sports today.
Thank you, Lisa. Matt, about you, what is your favorite sport?
It's nice to see you back again this year. Different topic, but we're here. Favorite sport, lacrosse. I played lacrosse in college. I don't know if anybody knows what that sport is here. Big American sport. All right.
I know what it is. My kid played.
Yeah, did he? So playing lacrosse.
My son played lacrosse in college.
Basketball. You did?
Yeah, my son did. Yeah, he played for Fairfield.
Clippers fan. San Diego Clippers, LA Clippers.
San Diego
my team.
Clippers, that's right.
That's my crew. All right, so I'm at DirecTV, part of AT&T. I've been with AT&T for 14 years in all their different versions. So running advanced advertising specifically. Did that for when they acquired Warner Media, did that when they acquired DirecTV, did that when they acquired AppNexus, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been great and very focused on product, business development, operations, running a multi-billion-dollar TV platform, DirecTV. So stream it or beam it, and 10 plus million customers, 40 plus million devices out there in the US.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lisa. So I think you carefully listened to what Don shared with us about his sports strategy. But I want to hear from you. What are the challenges of such sports strategy, and what would be your advice for Don?
So it's interesting, and I think Don touched upon a lot of things that I believe in. You know, when you think about sports, you have a real opportunity to connect with consumers. They're either passionate about an athlete, a team, a league. I think you made that point, Don. And the real opportunity is to forge that emotional connection and to use your brand to really become part of their lexicon. And it needs to be authentic. I think, you know, there are a lot of ways to get eyeballs, and brands have different objectives for why they engage with sports. But it should be about more than just the eyeballs, because really the payoff and the real ROI comes when you forge that connection with consumers, and I think one of the ways you really can do that best is with experiential activations and creating meaningful moments of engagement for fans. So I like to say, if you advertise, you should sponsor. If you sponsor, you should activate, because activation is really how you drive the brand love. And I appreciate what Don said. He said, we don't call it a sponsorship, we call it a partnership. It's a two-way street. And then he talked a lot about like sort of the 360 surround for the Snapdragon launch. And that is, I think, really, at the heart of the matter, what's going to make something successful.
Matt, what do you think the challenge is?
Challenges are few. The opportunities are many. I think you're leaning into the right space, at least when I think about the sports business, in the U.S. in terms of all the content. There's no more in-demand content than sports content from an advertising perspective. You've got news, you've got general entertainment. It's always sports first. It commands the premium ad dollars in the market. It's typically the inventory that's secured and locked up first. There's activations, to your point, that can be wrapped, experiential marketing there. Challenges, from a technology perspective, you need to make sure you've got the right data and technology to deliver effective advertising in sports. So, for example, for DirecTV, we're big partners with YoSpace. They help us do dynamic ad insertion in live and VOD. That's not easy. VOD content easy, but live, being able to deliver ads, relevant, targeted in milliseconds, doing it either directly or programmatically, the opportunity is endless. Have a great pricing and planning team. Have a great opportunity for you to maximize the value of that inventory because, again, you're going to have a lot of demand. Get your pricing strategy right.
What do you think of the advice of the two guys?
We should be buying DirecTV.
Do it.
Matt, you want a client?
Tell our story. Actually, no, we're partners with DirecTV on the Holiday Bowl. So, and they're the new title sponsor of it's a bowl game in the U.S. and San Diego. So appreciate them coming in there. I think they're spot on, right? I mean, I look at sports in a way. It's all about connection, and tapping into emotion is really the way you connect with anybody, right? You can explore the rational side of things, but it's really the emotional side of things that drives long-term, deep connections. And there's so many ways to do that, right? There is the insertion, the relevant insertion of a moment in time of an ad, a message where you make that connection. There is an experience that you somehow deliver where someone gets to experience the brand in a more deep and immersive way. There's several ways to do it. There's what they're wearing on their chest, right? We all wear brands, right? And so that's kind of, there's so many ways to do it, and it's really a recipe. It's a mix, right? It's not one thing, and I think that's how the world has changed. I think there used to be this mentality, years ago. It's like, well, let's just go buy a bunch of TV, right? And it's got reach, right? It's got frequency, but are you connecting with anybody, or are they just kind of rolling their eyes in the back of their head and waiting for the program to restart? So. I think the world is a one of opportunity, as Matt said, and so we're excited about it. And when we take partnerships like this, and we have so many tools, like what Matt has brought up, and what you were talking about, it just makes our job in some ways a lot easier and a lot more fun. And I think it brings these things to life better for our audience.
One thing Lisa mentioned is three letters that we hear a lot, ROI. And we had the sports director of a big French broadcaster this morning. We said, when I'm investing in sports rights, I'm sure I'm going to lose money. As an advertiser, how do you measure success of sports advertising? Because I guess it's super expensive. It's super looked after. What are the metrics that you're using? So, Lisa, I know you have a methodology to measure success, and maybe you can share with us, and Don can react on it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think you need to back up before you even think about the success. I think you have to figure out what's the right place to play. A lot of reasons brands engage in sports is because they want to be part of the cultural conversation, and they want to meet their consumers around the things that they are passionate about. You spoke about, Don, the many, maybe millions or billions of people who are MU fans. And so you have to really figure out where is the right place to play. And we actually just launched a product called the Sports Momentum Index in conjunction with the Harris poll. And what it does is it looks at, through polling data, both emerging and existing sports properties, teams, athletes, etc., to see where the momentum is going. How are consumers engaging? How is the broader cultural zeitgeist engaging? And what's resonating? And I think the very first step to figuring out where you play is to figure out what's the right place to play. And so this is a tool that's designed to help brands figure out where that momentum is coming from and where it's going to help make smart decisions. Once you've made smart decisions, then you can figure out, okay, how am I going to measure?
Don, how do you make smart decisions?
Well, it's cliche to say we're data-driven, but data plays a huge role. And marketing's a soft science, right? So there's the data science of it, there's the ROI, there's the numbers, there's the metrics, but there's also intuition. And I think it's a combination. And hitting that combination right all the time is not necessarily something that happens 100%. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. And it's trial and error and it's experimentation. But it's this mix of data science and intuition and passion and emotion that you have to kind of put into the equation. And then, what is the outcome that you're driving? Because there's soft metrics and hard metrics, right? And so it's just a balancing all of that together. This is why a lot of CAOs, CFOs, and more technical people don't understand marketing, because it's not a Venn diagram. It's not cut and dry. You can't plot it out on a Gantt chart. There's so many variables. But I think Matt probably knows this better than anybody for DirecTV. Measurement is so sort of like it's an outcome. It's a way to say I was successful to justify the spend, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. I mean, would you agree?
Totally. A lot of the stuff that we're doing is really around attribution. It's closing that loop. You saw the ad, and what action did you take?
Right.
Did you buy the jersey? Did you go into the stadium? And there's a lot of work that we do on the data and technology side. Up front, am I getting that sports enthusiast, following them in their journey, and then bringing that back to the brand? So there's definitely a flywheel.
Great. Next question. 2024 is, of course, a huge sports year. Like here in France, we have the Olympics, we have a soccer Euro Cup at the moment. But as my German boss used to say, you cannot dance on every wedding. So you have to advertise, but without being the partner, the sponsor of the huge sport event that is happening at the moment. So my question, maybe for you, Matt and Lisa, we talked about it when we did the prep. And how do you play it when there's something huge going on, like the Olympics or I don't know what, and you're not the number one partner brand around this? Maybe starting with you, Matt.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple things. There's a couple things that we try to do to make sure that we're effective in the delivery of those messages. Some of that has to do with delivering those targeted messages clearly, tying it back to the measurement, and then being able to close the loop, like I mentioned, on attribution.
Lisa?
So, I mentioned earlier one of the reasons brands engage in sports is to be part of the cultural conversation. And about a year and a half ago, we actually introduced a new product called Brandgeist IQ, which is designed to measure the real-time cultural relevance of brands. And when we looked at this year, we think about this year as really being the supersized summer of sport. So everyone's looking to figure out how they can lean into a sports story, whether they're an Olympic sponsor or not. And so we actually just put out some new data. We did a poll looking at brands who are official Olympic sponsors, whether it's at the team level or at the top level, and also other brands who are activating in sports to see we will go down as the panel blown away. So to really see if you can break through in a year where sponsors might technically reign supreme. So the data showed, obviously, there are a number of Olympic sponsors who are really killing it from a relevance standpoint. We saw really high scores for Mick Ultra, for LVMH, for Citi. But we also saw some brands that are not Olympic sponsors that are leaning into sport and are really breaking through the cultural zeitgeist. I would say, top of the list is, Uber disruptor, Liquid Death. They're not an Olympic sponsor, but they are leaning into the sports narrative. They announced their their NASCAR sponsorship with their tea product. They also sort of, staying true to tradition, having nothing to do with Olympics. They are promising to give away our fighter jet, and that's just a jab at Pepsi's failed attempt to do that in the 1990s. But what we're seeing, 3 brands in particular in the mental health space, Calm, Talkspace, and Headspace, are really able to break through. Now, Calm did do a deal with the IOC, gave away 2,000 downloads of their app for the athletes, but Headspace and Talkspace are really just breaking through with news about their partnerships and what they're offering, and they are driving part of that conversation without being a sponsor. So I think it's possible.
But I think there's places that you just shouldn't play. Like, you can't be everywhere. And I know there's like a rush to be, there's FOMO, right? But you can't be everywhere. It has to start with relevance, right? Maybe you shouldn't be an Olympic sponsor. Maybe that's not your audience. I mean, we're audience-led. Everything is audience-led. So, I know there's excitement around things like the Olympics and all these things, but there's some places you just shouldn't play, right? Because it's not authentic. It's not. You see Me Too. It seems passé. It seems cliche, and it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And it's not good for your brand. Yeah. So at some point, sometimes you have to say no, and it's hard as a CMO because you've got stakeholders that are passionate about certain things, and they think because they're passionate about it that everybody else is, and that's a place where we should go. And you have to say, well, you're not actually the target audience. So I'm happy that you like, whatever, bass fishing, but our audience doesn't like bass fishing. So we're not going to go and sponsor bass fishing. And that's a challenge that I have as a CMO that I have to constantly manage. But you don't have to be everywhere. Go deeper with the partnerships that you do have. Build authenticity, build relevance, and then let the brands who are better suited and better fit to engage in that other thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to comment on 2 things John said. So first of all, I 100% agree with you about authenticity. That is a crucial component. And if you don't belong in the space and you don't have any, real authentic resonance with your audience in that space, stay away. And then I just wanted to comment because I can't help but not, that age-old problem of a C-suite saying, I want to be there. I worked for years on Gillette razors. The target audience was an 18-year-old male. They're like, we want to be on Good Morning America. And I'm like, there is not an 18-year-old male in this country watching Good Morning America. So I hear you, and I am with you on that.
Yeah, just 2 other quick comments on the Olympics if you can't get into the Olympics. One thing we've noticed in the U.S. in the last year, enormous rise in women's sports. Women's sports is up 158% year over year in terms of viewership. Kate and Clark phenomenon is real, right? WNBA games on average 10,000 attendance. Games that she plays in the W 18,000. So there's a real phenomenon there. A lot more people are leaning in and watching women's sports. Impressions are up. You can't get Olympics. That's an option. Second thing I'll say is there's a lot of technology like DirecTV and others that are out there that says, hey, if you don't want to pay that premium to do a 30-second commercial in the Super Bowl, in the Olympics, et cetera, but this is your content, there are ways that we have deterministic data to say, okay, well, Joe Smith, who you want to advertise to in the Olympics, did you know that Joe Smith also watches HGTV Thursday morning for 1/10 the price? So you can still reach your audience outside of the sports arena if you can't afford the sports arena. So those are 2 tactics I give you if you can't get into the Olympics.
And thank you, Matt, for mentioning women's sports because, of course, and that's something I discussed with all of you, and something really relevant that was also mentioned in the previous panel about acquiring sports rights. Indeed, there's a lot coming up in new sports, niche sports that are coming bigger and bigger. And I think, Don, as a sponsor, you also sponsor other kind of sports, right?
Oh, yeah. And obviously, part of our Manchester United relationship includes the women's team. So that was a great way to engage in women's sport. And then for Formula One, we just announced yesterday that we're extending our partnership with Mercedes, AMG Petronas, to include F1 Academy. And the F1 Academy is an all-female driver circuit that is built to nurture female drivers, to then bring them into the system, to hopefully break that glass ceiling and deliver and produce the first female Formula One driver. Dorian Penn is Mercedes Formula One Academy driver. We are wrapping ourselves around her. We are one of the first brands to extend into Formula One Academy of all the brands engaged in Formula One. So I'm really proud that we're leading here, and we're going to be taking Dorian, and we're going to putting her in one of our campaigns for holiday, and we're going to celebrate the fact that this move that Formula One has made to help women break into the sport is actually happening. So women's sports piece, absolutely an opportunity. Again, we're doing it. We're leveraging what we currently have. We're expanding into it, and we're doing it in a very authentic way.
Thank you. Lisa, you mentioned also good cases around women's sports.
Yeah, I mean, and I led a panel a couple of days ago, and I think one of the best quotes that came out of it is, once we get to the point where we're no longer qualifying women's sports and we're just calling it sports, we'll have achieved what we're after. But there was a great case study that I saw last year being presented. Nike won here at the Lions for a campaign around the Euros for the Lionesses called Home. And anybody who's from the UK is familiar with the song. We're coming home, and the trophy has eluded the country for many, many years. And it was, I thought, a really smart move by Nike to jump in on the moment. It was the first time I think the Cup had come home in 50 years. They did a great, iconic visual mashup. They removed the Nike logo above the swoosh, and they just put the word home. And when the team won the championship and it was played at home, they threw shirts and they threw flags out onto the field because they couldn't get them into the locker room. They weren't an official sponsor. And every piece of coverage had had the team wearing the shirts. People all around the city were wearing the shirts, carrying the flags. So that was a brilliant viral move. And in fact, people were buying the T-shirts online, begging to buy them for thousands of dollars. And it was just so smart in terms of raising awareness and sort of raising the women's team up even further with their win. So I just thought it was a great example of how a brand can engage authentically and do something meaningful for a team.
Thank you so much. So, I want to thank you all for being such great panelists. I think it's been my favorite one to moderate so far, especially because of Eric Cantona. If ever I come to California, maybe
he roots for England, right? He said that on stage on Monday.
He could have said when the seagulls follow the boats, etc., etc. No, but thank you so much. As a final question before we leave you, we are halfway through Cannes. How would you rate this 2024 edition so far? Don, Lisa, and then Matt. How is your Cannes so far?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How is Cannes Lions for you so far?
Oh my gosh, amazing. Day 3. Still have my voice. My eyes aren't too red. And made some amazing connections, done some amazing speakerships. We're hosting a publisher day today, first time we've ever done that here. So our Cannes Lions experience has been a journey of, showing up first and figuring it all out, and then kind of engaging. And I think we're at that point now where we're engaging in a really good way.
Lisa.
So if you had asked me yesterday, I would have just said hot. Today's a little bit better, but no, it's been a great Lions. I've been coming for many years. I'm really excited by all the conversation around women's sports and this idea that one day we'll just get to parity and call it sports. Also was very excited by the discussion about the return of humor. There was a great panel last year that I attended. It was the first time since the pandemic where we were sort of given permission to maybe laugh again, and we're seeing a lot more of that now. And we've been very involved, part of Stagwell, so Sport Beach has been a great part of our Cannes so far. And for those of you in the audience, I've been writing a newsletter. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I have another one coming out today. It's called The Roar, and this one is all about laughter.
Thank you, Lisa. Matt, it's the second time you come to RTL Beach. You told me it was one of your favorites. So how is Cannes so far?
It's awful. I mean, look at the views and the food and the people. No, it's wonderful. Like Lisa, I've been coming for many years. I don't know, 7, 8 years. I remember when it was a lot smaller. There was not all of these beach activations. There was very few. You have such a rich diversity of ad technology, brands, advertising, celebrity, athlete, kind of this amalgamation of media technology, advertising, and entrepreneurship. There's nothing else like it in probably the best location you could pick.
Well, I'm very proud to be able to moderate this panel. Please give a huge round of applause to our panelists. They were like super great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you,
Lisa.
RTL.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Jean. Thank you.
Thanks very much.